They laughed. Oh, they laughed hard. Too hard, really. The kind of laughter that echoes off boardroom walls, soaked in condescension and certainty. They didn't even try to hide it. No half-hearted chuckles. No polite deflections. Just pure, unfiltered amusement at the very thought that someone like me, the quiet, spreadsheet-hugging analyst from floor 3, had the audacity to apply for the director role. I remember the moment with perfect clarity. It was just after lunch on a Tuesday. I had just hit submit on the internal application portal, my hand trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the sheer weight of the moment. I knew what I was doing. I knew the politics, the backroom whispers, the unspoken rules. I also knew they didn't see me as a leadership type. To them, I was background noise, a reliable cog, not a driver. 5 minutes after I submitted my application, I walked into the cafeteria and felt it instantly. The shift in energy, the glance, then the smirks. Someone had leaked it. Probably Martin from HR, that smug little parasite who'd been gunning for the same role but didn't have the nerve to ask hard questions in meetings. Now he was holding court in the corner of the cafeteria, mimicking my posture, pretending to hold a cup of coffee and muttering in a high-pitched version of my voice, "Hi, I'd like to be director. I know Excel really well." They howled. I didn't flinch. I walked past their little comedy show, got my salad, sat by the window, and opened the quarterly reports. I was already revising for the CFO. If they thought a little laughter could shake me, they really didn't know who they were dealing with. Let me take you back for a moment, because none of this started with a promotion or a snide cafeteria joke. It started 3 years earlier, the day I nearly got fired. Back then, I was still new, just 6 months in. My boss at the time, Sandra, had taken a strong dislike to me, probably because I was quick. Too quick. I caught an accounting anomaly in her budget, report that could have landed the company in legal trouble. Instead of thanking me, she tried to bury it. And me. She rewrote the narrative, made it seem like I was the one who made the error. I still remember being called into that glass conference room. The way the VP of Finance looked at me like I was already gone. But I had backup. My work was thorough. My audit trail was perfect. And when I laid it all out, calmly, precisely, the mood in the room changed. That was the first time I saw the fear. Not terror, not panic, but a flicker of something colder, quieter. The kind of fear that comes when people realize they underestimated the wrong person. Sandra was reassigned 2 weeks later. From that point on, I kept my head down, but my eyes wide open. I watched everything. The petty politics. The alliances formed over cocktails at offsites. The power plays masked as team-building initiatives. I studied the system like it was an organism. I learned where it was weak, and I learned how to strengthen the parts that mattered. While they networked, I built systems. While they gossiped, I automated half of our department's monthly reporting. Quietly, efficiently, no spotlight, no credit needed. Until the merger. Ah, yes, the merger. When Vantel Tech swallowed us whole like a python, and half the company froze in panic. People were either scrambling to look busy or trying to align themselves with the incoming execs. I didn't scramble. I prepared. I analyzed Vantel Tech's operational framework, found the overlaps with our systems, and drafted a 92-page proposal outlining a seamless integration strategy. I didn't submit it right away. Timing, you see, is everything. Instead, I waited. 2 months later, the new VP of Strategy, a sharp and perpetually overworked woman named Eleanor, was sitting alone in a glass-walled wall, room surrounded by post-it notes and frustration. I stepped in, quietly handed her the proposal, and said, "This might save you 6 weeks." 3 hours later, she emailed the CEO. 2 days after that, I was invited to present at the Executive Integration Summit. I didn't wear a power suit. I didn't drop buzzwords or quote Steve Jobs. I just showed them the numbers, the systems, the strategy, clean, simple, irrefutable. Afterwards, Eleanor pulled me aside and said, "Why the hell are you still an analyst?" I shrugged. Wrong face, wrong floor. She laughed, but it wasn't cruel laughter. It was knowing. 6 months later, the director role opened up. The timing was perfect. The current director, Jeffrey, a man with the strategic depth of a teaspoon, was taking early retirement, clearly pushed out by the new regime. Everyone expected Martin or Priya to land the role. They'd been positioning themselves for months, doing all the things people do when they think politics matter more than performance. Then I submitted my application. Cue the laughter, cue the panic, because the minute I applied, things started changing, fast. Eleanor sent a subtle but unmistakable message when she replied, "Interesting choice," to my application on the internal system, visible to all department heads. Suddenly the smugness started to crack. Priya, who'd been publicly dismissive of my technical tunnel vision, emailed me to ask if I wanted to collaborate on a presentation for Q3. Martin cornered me in the elevator, all buddy-buddy, asking if I wanted to grab lunch, like old times. There were no old times. We'd never had a conversation longer than 7 words. Then came the presentation. Each candidate was asked to present their strategic vision for the next fiscal year. Martin went first. Charts, graphs, a few recycled, McKinsey phrases, safe, bland. Priya followed, with a sleek slide deck and an emotional pitch about people-first transformation, polished but hollow. Then it was my turn. No slides. I walked to the center of the room, placed a single page on the table, and said, "If you implement the plan on this paper, we'll save $3.4 million, increase reporting efficiency by 47%, and shorten onboarding for new hires by 28 days. I can show you how. Or I can show you the door to the future. Your call." The room went silent. Then I spoke for exactly 13 minutes. I broke down the blind spots, the inefficiencies, the human resource leaks, and the untapped potential sitting dormant, because no one had bothered to analyze the data in context. I spoke their language, not corporate jargon, but value, risk, efficiency, scale. When I finished, I didn't wait for applause. I simply nodded, turned, and walked out. They didn't laugh after that. They whispered. The board met the following week. I wasn't in the room, but I heard from someone who owed me a favor, that there had been an argument. One faction wanted to go with the safe pick, Martin, predictable, loyal, manageable. The other faction pushed for something new, disruption, intelligence, precision. Eleanor, I'm told, said something that tipped the scale. If you want someone to play golf with the clients, pick Martin. If you want someone who can future-proof the company, pick the one who sees 5 moves ahead. 3 days later, I got the call. Director of Strategic Operations. My name on the glass. My floor. They didn't congratulate me. Not at first. Some avoided eye contact entirely. Others gave the kind of tight smiles you offer at funerals. But panic. Oh yes. Panic set in fast. Martin's project suddenly came under scrutiny. Priya's reports were reviewed for alignment. Middle managers started reshuffling priorities. Suddenly, everyone wanted to talk to me, ask my opinion, loop me in, invite me to things I was never invited to before. I didn't forget the laughter. I just filed it away. In the first 90 days, I implemented real-time analytics dashboards that exposed departmental inefficiencies. Entire workflows were overhauled. Dead weight surfaced fast, and I didn't flinch when making cuts. People started whispering again, but this time it was a different tone. Resignation, respect, maybe even fear. Eleanor stopped by one morning, coffee in hand, and said, "You know, you've scared more people in 3 months than HR has in 3 years." I smiled. Good. Let them be scared of mediocrity. She laughed. This time, it was genuine. I wasn't in it for revenge. I didn't want to punish anyone. But I wasn't about to let a culture of smug complacency rot the place. From the inside out, not on my watch. I brought in fresh blood, analysts who weren't just good with numbers, but had edge, insight, hunger. I mentored quietly, but with intensity. No fake inspiration, just sharp truth and high standards. The results spoke louder than I ever could. By Q2, our division outperformed every other in the company. The CEO took notice. I was invited to the executive offsite in Aspen, a place I was never supposed to set foot in. At the final dinner, while sipping wine under mountain stars, the CEO clinked his glass and said, "Sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is trust the quietest person in the room." People clapped. I nodded. But inside, I remembered the laughter. I remembered every smirk, every eye roll, every little snide remark, and I let it fuel me. Because success is the best rebuttal. Not loud, not cruel, just undeniable. They laughed when I applied for the director role. Then their laughter turned to panic. When they realized I wasn't just qualified, I was inevitable.